Okay, so you've got yourself a beautiful Polivac Predator and or Mark II or the Terminator, and sometimes things will seem to go wrong and you think, oh, why on earth isn't the machine running? Have you forgotten to plug it in? Okay, let's plug in the machine and let's check that the power point is actually switched on. I don't know how many times I've done that myself. Also check that the power point actually works. So if you need to, plug in a lamp or something like that just to make sure that that power point's actually working before you go racing off wondering how on earth to fix your machine. It might be something or other else at the power point that's the problem. So plug your machine in, make sure it's on, and if you've got power on there, all should be good. So let's set up the machine. And we're going to switch it on and something's not quite right still. Okay, maybe it's the little reset button down there. So these machines will have a reset button on them, just down on the side of the machine there. Just check that that's plugged, that's on. Just a little safety feature on the machine to stop it overloading. Okay, the Polivac Predator Mark III is a very powerful machine, so powerful that it can't just run off one power cord. You need two, so there's two separate plugs there. When you're plugging these into the power, don't just plug them both into the one power point. They need to be on two separate circuits. So go to the kitchen and plug one into the kitchen power point, plug the other one into the laundry power point, and that way you're going to be on two separate circuits to make sure that you're not tripping circuit breakers all over the place. So if we start the machine and we've got the heater switch on, that pump in this one won't work. It will either run the pump or the heater. It won't run both at the same time. So if your pump's not running, just make sure you've got that switch up onto the pump there. And of course make sure your little circuit breaker down there is clicked in and you should be fine. Okay, next thing that can happen. Make sure that your solution line is plugged in. That should go in there and click. So you've got a nice tight fit there. Check your pressure and we should be right to go. Another thing you might want to check is that lid down securely to give you a good solid vacuum. That should be clamping itself right onto there with the vacuum pressure. Okay, let's plug it in. Make sure you've got a good tight vacuum fit on your vacuum hose there, and make sure this fitting is again connected and sealed right home there. Now sometimes after you've been working for a little bit, you can actually find that these hoses here start to work loose. As you're working around corners, that'll work loose and you start to get a little bit of loss of vacuum. Make sure that that's on nice and tight. If your hoses are getting a little bit old, you'll find you'll actually hear this hissing noise somewhere along the hose length. If you're getting that hissing noise along the hose length, you're losing vacuum down at the most important part there. So check your hoses are in good condition, everything plugged in, and away we go. So we switch it on, it's making all the right noises and I still can't seem to get enough vacuum. What could be wrong? Check your dump valve is closed. If you haven't got that closed, air will escape in through there instead of through the wand there. So we go to start cleaning and we've got to make sure that that wand is square onto the carpet. We've got these two metal jaws on either side of the wand there. That's where the air rushes in. So that needs to be sitting flat down on the carpet. If it's too low down, the air will escape through the front of the wand. If it's sitting too high up, air will escape through underneath. That needs to be sitting around about a comfortable waist height. So that's just at the height there where it's up against your hip there. Let the wand fall onto the trigger and just walk backwards. It's as easy as that. Push it back again to get an extra dry back, move it over and make your next pass. Push it back over that same area with your trigger off to make sure you're getting extra vacuum down onto the carpet there. The machine here has this port on the side there where you plug in your booster pack. If that's not closed properly, you'll get air leaking in through those. Don't have any air leaks and you'll have maximum vacuum pressure at the wand, and you want as much vacuum as you can to make sure that you're getting that carpet clean and dry. On the auto pump out machine, the hose that goes away to the sewage has this little one-way valve in there. Now if that valve is getting rubbish in there and it's not sealing properly, you find what will happen is you'll actually pull air back through the machine. It won't work properly with that clog. So just make sure that you've got that nice and clear. Now other things that can happen. Loss of pressure. Why haven't we got pressure at the wand there? Make sure you're plugged in. Make sure your pump's switched on. And if you've got pressure at the pressure gauge there and you haven't got pressure here, it could be the little fitting inside here is getting a bit worn just from constantly connecting it and disconnecting it. There's a little valve inside there. So just make sure that's right. If you've got pressure at the wand tip there and you're only getting a dribble of water out here, it could be another thing. There's a filter, fits right down inside the water tank of the machine. It's like looks like a little mushroom. Just make sure that's nice and clean. And down here at the wand tips there, unscrew those, and there's a little tiny filter in those. So you've got to unscrew that, take the tip off, pull the little filter out and just clean out all the rubbish that might be built up there. Put that back together with your spanner. Make sure that you've got the spray jets lined up because you want a nice even spray. If you ever find that you're getting a blocked spray jet, you'll see this little dark looking V in the water as it's coming out. What will happen is you'll end up with a streaky mark on the carpet there, so make sure your jets are always nice and clear. Right, another reason to run out of water, of course, is if the machine's empty. So just check that if you're working your wand and I've got no pressure, check you've got water in the machine. What will also happen is if the water level gets down too low, there's a little tiny float switch in there which shuts the pump off if the water level is too low. It'll also shut that heater off as well. So always make sure you've got plenty of water in the machine.